I've been here, so I'd just like to share that with everyone. Before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to turn off any wireless communication devices to avoid any technical interference with the microphones and taping of the meeting. A Spanish call-in line for the community to hear the meeting interpreted live has been established. The number is 508-924-5155. Again, the number is 508-924-5155. Board Member Cerrón Ruiz, please make the announcement in Spanish.
Línea para interpretación en español de esta reunión de la Junta Escolar de Prince George's County está disponible al número 508-924-5155. 508-924-5155.
Gracias. Finally, for those who are not able to observe now, this meeting is being recorded and can be accessed for later viewing via the Prince George's County Public Schools YouTube channel. Now we will have the board prayer and pledge of allegiance done by Board Member Adam Stafford.
Please bow your heads. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance, steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Berkeley, would you now call the roll?
Good evening, board members and administration. Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Here.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Here.
Mr. Cerrón Ruiz.
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier. Here. Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Here.
Mr. Montero.
Here.
Mr. Murray. Mr. Thomas. Mr. Valentine. Mrs. Williams.
Present.
Dr. Miller.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now may I have a motion to adopt the April 7th, 2022 board work session?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and second to adopt the April 7th, 2022 board work session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted. Next, we will have the approval of the board meeting minutes for March 24th, 2022 board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved in second to approve the minutes for March 24th, 2022 board meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Public comment. There are no registered live public comment speakers this evening. And Board Member Montero has asked for a moment of personal privilege, and I'm trying to debate whether I want you to speak first, or should I give them? But I think I'll let you give your point of personal privilege first.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Miller. I appreciate having a minute to share. I don't think anyone on this board can accuse me of speaking too much at these meetings, and I won't give you a reason to do so tonight. I just can't leave without saying how grateful I am to have served on this board for 3 years. When the county executive asked me to serve here, I didn't hesitate. PGCPS has given me and my siblings so much to be grateful for. I'm the first in my family to graduate from high school because of some wonderful teachers, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, school support personnel. My parents, smarter than me, just because of the hand that life dealt them, weren't able to cross that graduation stage. But my experience is very similar to it's very similar to so many of our students in the system today. And the teachers that I crossed paths with instilled in me a sense that I was good enough, I was smart enough to go as far as my work ethic and my ambitions would take me. PGCPS is a dream factory. When you think about what this system does for young people not born into privilege, where they start and where they can go, and you look at all of the alums that have come through this system, including our CEO and what they've done in the country, this is a dream factory. And I had committed teachers like Andrea Mark, Elaine Murray, Tess Matthew, Janet Lewis, Jack and Eileen Deibler, Norm Schwartz, John Seibert, Martha Alexander, Marshall White, Scott Smith, and so many others there aren't time for me to name, who invested in me to have a brighter outcome than I otherwise would have had. We all come to this board with our own diverse set of experiences and backgrounds that have shaped us. And I think all of us here would admit that serving on this board isn't the easiest thing in the world. We've had our share of disagreements over a number of issues, but I know that on some level we all want the best for this system and the kids and the adults that power it every day. And through it all, I've been consistently impressed by the expertise, care, and just poise that Dr. Goldson illustrates. I have to say to you, Dr. Goldson, and I've had the blessing of working in different parts of the country, you are one of the best superintendents in the country. And seeing this system through any time but 2 years of COVID, seeing other school systems more well-resourced than we are stumble. And your leadership, I can't say enough good things about what you've done at the helm, and I'm proud to have served with you. It's important that we share a full truth with our community and not demonize each other for sharing a fuller truth or their truth. I would just hope that you all would continue to look for ways actively to tell your truth in a way that's kind. And as I leave to take a role in the Biden-Harris administration, I go with sincere appreciation for my time here. I've learned something from each of you in large and small ways, and I'm always going to be PGCPS proud for what this system's done for me and my family. And I'm so excited to welcome Madeline to the board. I only wish we had more time together. But to Ms. Ellis, Ms. Berkeley, Ms. Claggett, and Brother David Smith for your help in the board office, thank you all so much, and thank you, Dr. Miller, for the time to share.
Thank you. I had to decide whether I wanted him to go first because I had my script and he had his. So with that, Paul, thank you so much for the service that you have rendered to this board. You may have been quiet in terms of not being bold and articulate at certain of the, when we get into the heated discussions and debates, but you always make a good point. And you're like a mediator or one that kind of calms things down. So I really appreciate you. So it's with sadness that I have to announce the resignation of our colleague, Mr. Montero. And during this time on the board, he has been a staunch and true advocate for the students, employees, and families of Prince George's County Public Schools. Colleagues, let's give him another hand of appreciation. And as the old saying goes, when one door closes, another one opens. And while we are sad to see Mr. Montero go, we are both excited and grateful to receive our new colleague onto this dais, Ms. Madeline Lasalle Frazier. Board Member LaSalle Frazier will be representing District 8. We look forward to collaborating with her on the continued work of our great school system. Welcome, Member LaSalle. And let me give you a little bit of information about what she brings to the table. Let's see. First, she is a 2011 Fellow of the National Hispania Leadership Institute, the Center for Creative Leadership, and the Harvard John F. Kennedy School of Government Leadership Consortium. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree and Master's of Social Work from the Silberman School of Social Work at Hunter College in New York City, as well as an Education Specialist degree and Education Leadership and Administration certificate from George Washington University, yay, their School of Education. She is also the founder and current chair of the Board of Latinas Leading Tomorrow, a nonprofit that serves young Latinas in middle and high school in 3 key core areas. Core, creating opportunities to reach excellence; elite high school; academy, exemplifying leadership in a team environment; and Latina Labs, that includes STEM and STEAM mentoring. As a first-generation college graduate, Ms. LaSalle Frazier passion includes social justice work, trauma-informed care, restorative practices. She enjoys facilitating personal growth seminars, college and career coaching, and developing leadership programs for youth. We welcome you to the Prince George's County Board of Education with open arms. Let's give her. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, President Biden has been paying close attention to what's going on in Prince George's County. So I'm just going to put it out there. It's like he's picking the cream of the crop. And he started with, in terms of the school system, he started with Christian Rhodes, who was the chief of staff to Dr. Golson for many years. And Christian went to the Department of Education, if I'm not mistaken, as Biden appointee. Then we have in the 24th Legislative District, Delegate Eric Barron was appointed to the Justice Department by Biden. And then he came back to the school system and found a person by the name of Dr. Monica Golson to serve on the advisory panel for HBCUs. Before you give, Dr. Golson has been appointed to serve on that advisory for historically black colleges and universities. The President's Board will work to increase the capacity of HBCUs to provide the highest quality education to students and continue to serve as engines of opportunities. Congratulations to you. Would you like to say a few words, Dr. Golson? You don't have to.
I'll be really brief. I am extremely humbled, honored, and blessed to be selected and to be able to spend time doing something that I love, and that's supporting not only students in PGCPS, but students across the country in historically black colleges and universities, of which I am a proud 3-time graduate. So thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's just one thing. Dr. Golson, in representing the Prince George's County Public Schools, has brought national attention to our school district. In New York, we received the P3. I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, but it doesn't hurt to repeat, because I want to make sure everybody understands what's going on in this school system are great things. And Ms. Williams was a part of the structuring of that P3, using her engineer degree. But Dr. Golson, and Dr. Golson worked collaboratively with that effort. Then in San Diego, at the National School Board Association's annual conference, we were presented with the Magna Award, which is a silver award for our immersion programs. But before I go on, and before I present this award, I have to find my speech. It takes many people to provide the excellent opportunities that we provide students in Prince George's County Public Schools. In order to break down barriers for our students, we need to provide access to quality education. It starts with the bus drivers and others in the transportation office that bring every student to our program, no matter where they live in our school district. Once the students arrive at our schools, our principals fearlessly lead the faculty and students in our program throughout the day. Our academic deans provide instructional coaching and support to ensure that our high-quality curricula and instructional practices are implemented in our classroom. We, of course, could not make educational miracles happen every day without our teachers, who provide the instruction that makes the difference every day. Our students perform as well as, or better than, peers because of every Prince George's County Public Schools employee that provides for our students from the second they step on the bus to the time they leave the school building and return home. Under the direction of Carmen Henninger, Immersion Program Supervisor, and Jane Tarwacki, Immersion Instructional Specialist of Prince George's County Public Schools, they were able to give students from across the county the gift of being bilingual, biliterate, and multicultural. We, as a school district, are able to open more doors for more students through this amazing, unique program. And we received national recognition for this immersion program. Can I get, where's my music? Did they leave? We're going to celebrate, I think. Board members.
A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your laughter too. We gon' celebrate your party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. Celebration. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you. What's your pleasure? Everyone around the world, come on! It's a celebration.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to celebrate because there's a lot to celebrate about. And again, thank you, Dr. Golson, and your fantastic, your awesome team who contributed to us getting that national recognition. The second time this year, within 3 months. Then the president comes in. Can't beat that. I am excited for you, and I'm sure all of my colleagues have the same feeling. Well, I guess I have to get back to the agenda now, right? Okay. Ms. Berkeley has called the roll. We've adopted the agenda, and no public comments. So we'll move on to item 4.0. And that will be Dr. Golson. Please introduce this evening's work session discussion topic and presentation.
Thank you. It gives me great privilege to introduce to some of you, Dr. Judith White and her team, who she's going to introduce, that will provide for you and our community our 2022 academic summer program offerings. Dr. White.
Good evening and greetings to Board Chair Miller, Vice Chair Williams, and to the entire Board of Education, and especially to our newest board member. Welcome to the phenomenal Prince George's County Public School System. This evening, I am here with my colleagues from the Division of Academics. I have with me Tony Brooks, who is our Supervisor of Instructional Support in Summer School. And I have Dr. Kia McDaniel, who is our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. And so once they put the presentation up, we are going to walk you through our academic summer planning for summer 2022. So this evening, you will have an opportunity to engage into the following overview that you see on the screen. We will talk a little about research, why we do our programming the way we do and how we do it. We will also share the different programs that we are offering this summer, the different locations, and the communication that we utilize when communicating not only with our school system members, but also our community and our parents. And with that, I will turn it over to Tony Brooks to get us started.
Thank you, Dr. White. It's a pleasure to participate in this summer learning presentation. This first slide, this next slide is related to the research provided by RAND Corporation with 4 of the best practices described here. Start early and be inclusive, and you'll see that January, which is where we'll start our presentation. Of course, in Prince George's County Public Schools, planning and debriefing for summers is a year-long experience. Meet regularly and be comprehensive in scope. Regular and productive meetings, enrichment activities and academics, and you will see that as a part of what we do here in Prince George's County Public Schools. Clearly delineate roles and establish firm enrollment deadlines and keep electronic student records. And those are all things that we'll cover in this presentation. The next slide is related to our timeline, our summer timeline. And as I said, in connection with the research, we'll start in January. And so you see the first thing that's going on in January is registration, logistics, and budget. And so by January, schools and offices will have received a memo asking them to register their summer programs and to complete a budget worksheet. And so that registration information is shared with leadership so that everyone knows who's interested in having a summer program. And those budget worksheets, the budget staff goes to work ensuring that projections for payroll and workshop pay, transportation, and supplies and licenses are available and in the correct cost strings. In February, we start monthly meetings, and the presentation is a little bit askew. But in February, we began our monthly meetings with our summer managers, and they get to speak with with representatives from the supporting offices. And so usually February's meeting is around human resources and facilities, where the summer managers learn processes to reserve school buildings, how to coexist where needed, how to complete the application that will allow everyone in the community to know what buildings will be used. And they also learn the iRecruitment process so that they understand how to post positions in Oracle. And then the last of those things, positions posted for hiring, and the summer website is available for community and stakeholders. The next slide takes us to May. And in May, summer managers are making job offers to candidates in adherence to negotiated agreements. And program implementation may begin as early as May, particularly for our high school credit recovery program and seniors in need of credits. The next slide takes us, we're going to go backward. When you get a chance to look at the slide, we'll go backwards to last year's perspective, where in summer 2021, our programs were in session. And once programs are in session and completed, we go into post-program responsibilities, record keeping, reporting, ensuring that students' credits are recorded correctly. And in October and December, beginning in October specifically, we're in debriefing and planning with supporting offices. Thank you, somebody caught me up. Then the last of the slides that I want to share with you is around the summer school positions, just to point out that we hire the same types of staff members for summer that we do during the regular year. So we have our teachers and our related service providers, our coordinators, our secretaries, et cetera. When this slide was created, we had 90 positions posted, and now we're up to 123. So it's an ongoing process. I'm going to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Dr. Kia McDaniel.
Thank you, Tony. So when we look at the best practices for summer learning, we're really looking at them in three tenets. That programs have academic enrichment for our students, that there are accelerated learning opportunities, and that there's support for students who are transitioning to middle or high school. And so these are best practices that we know are identified in research, and so you'll see some of the connections when I talk about the programs that we'll be offering this summer for our students, and some of the resources as well. And so one of the tools that we have designed to make sure that we keep our students, our community, our families up to date about all of the summer programs that are available to them is the summer programs website. And so you can see that on this website, all of the information related to registration for programs, the dates, and all contact information is available for our families. The logo that you see here, the PGCPS Summer Learning Spark, you may also see that in some of the community partners that we work with on their websites as well, so that when some of our families are on church websites, other community partners, that will direct them right back to our website so that they can see all of the summer opportunities that are available for our students. So there is an opportunity for summer exploration for every student in Prince George's County Public Schools. And so we have designed summer options for students at every grade level. There are these opportunities for both acceleration and remediation, enrichment, again, those transition programs, and the opportunity to engage either face-to-face or in online programs. And I'll talk about those courses and how we have the program set up. There are a variety of different delivery models that students can participate in, again, face-to-face, even online, may be synchronous or asynchronous. In addition to that, we still have our traditional summer enrichment packets that help to support students in the core academic areas for them to get the additional support that they might want to engage in over the summer, or that their parents want them to engage in. Many of these include calendar activities that students can participate in, and also just getting them ready for next school year. In partnership with Prince George's County Memorial Library, we also have reading lists for students to be able to choose books that they might be interested in reading. We will continue to offer our Tutor Me tutoring service, which offers every student in our school district access to 24/7 tutoring in any content area online. And we also have, for all of our grade levels, what your student needs to know. So we know that over the summer, this is an opportunity for our parents and community members to be working with our students, gearing them up for next school year. And so we have guides available on this same website that outlines what a child needs to be able to know and be able to do in the next grade level, to give parents some more information about how they can prepare their child. So when we look at our elementary programs, there are two main elementary programs that we have this summer. And so those are within our Digital Explosion and our Acceleration Academy. And so the Digital Explosion program is for every student in our district. It provides them access to online platforms where they can practice their reading and math skills. And they can really do it at their own schedule, on their own schedule, creating their own schedule. We did provide a sample schedule for them to be able to engage in these activities, but it's really a structure for them to utilize at their own convenience, to participate in iReady for reading for our elementary students and Dreambox for mathematics for our elementary students. Our Acceleration Academy is our face-to-face summer program where teachers and students are engaging each day. We have a program for our rising stars, so our rising kindergarten students, and our elementary students, so our rising grades 1 to 6 students. And this program is targeted for students who had some difficulty and failed either reading or math in quarters 1 and 2. And so these students were specifically identified for this program and invited to this program based on their progress. And so we've already reached out to them. They already know that they could express their interest in the summer program to participate. And so we'll use this face-to-face time with students in our Acceleration Academy to get them caught up and get them prepared for next school year. One additional program, one of our tutoring programs I'd also like to mention that's open to our elementary students is our Book Nook program, which will be continuing this summer. And this summer we'll not only just have reading, we will also have mathematics support through Book Nook. And so students can participate 3 times a week over 6 weeks in the structured lessons with a tutor to get additional support. We are really excited that we have 17,000 spaces, for students across our reading and math programs. So in addition to getting on that digital explosion, some students in the Acceleration Academy, they can also engage in our Book Nook programs as well. So when we look at our youngest learners, we want our students to have fun over the summer, and we want them to have fun while they're learning. And so we designed our Math Warriors program. As we know, one of our focus areas for summer learning is mathematics. And so students can engage in this program, again, also on a time schedule that their family set up for them, to be able to engage in fun math activities, to practice the content that they need to get prepared for the next school year. So on the screen, you just see just a snippet of what that website looks like for our students to engage in. There are weekly activities that families can engage in around mathematics. with translations in Spanish available for our families as they work with their students at home. And they have the opportunity, again, to set their own schedule. And we have created videos as well for parents explaining how to walk through this content with their students, what it means to engage in different aspects of mathematics, and that math is everywhere, and there's an opportunity everywhere to engage students in mathematics. For our elementary students, we're also going to be continuing with our content area videos for students to get access to a variety of different lessons. And so we obviously are covering our core content, math, science, social studies, and reading. But we also have specialty area videos, art, physical education, and dance activities and lessons that students can engage in. These lessons will run on a schedule on PGCPS TV, but they are also available on demand at any time via our website for families to be able to access. So if they don't catch it when it runs on TV, they can click on their computers or phones and view those videos at any time. So they'll have access anywhere they are to be able to participate in these activities as well. I'm going to move to our middle school program. So our middle school options mirror what we have for our elementary students. And so there's the Digital Explosion. Again, that program is for every student in our district. Our middle school students have access to Edgenuity MyPath. And this program will work with students to just get some support and skills that they need to continue to develop. And it's going to work to where they are. So there is a pre-assessment to determine where students are. It gets them on the path exactly where they need to begin and continue to work through those areas they need support in or acceleration in. We also have the Middle School Acceleration Academy, which is also for our students who have not been successful in reading and math during the school year. And they work directly with the teacher in this virtual summer program to really reteach and revisit those critical skills that they missed during the school year, but again, gearing them up to their next grade and what they're going to be engaging in reading and mathematics for the following year. So as our students enter high school, we know that they're automatically on the path to graduation through the courses they take that are credit-bearing. And so we have a variety of different options for our high school students as well. So we have they're going to be in a variety of different formats, both face-to-face and online. And our credit recovery program, it provides students with a face-to-face class with teachers during the day to recover any credits from classes that they failed this past school year, to be able to engage in that content and allow them to revisit those skills. We also have the opportunity for our students in grades 10 through 12, to participate in original credit courses in an online format so that they can engage in that content as well. So we have our credit recovery and our original courses that our students at the high school level can engage in. When we look at the courses that are available for students, that are here, you can see the list of courses available for original credit and those credit recovery. There will be 3 summer sessions for our students with the courses indicated on the slide. So the first session is starting in May for our students who are seniors and in need of additional credits to graduate. So we're getting started with them right away. Then we have our second session, that day session, for our students in July who are participating in credit recovery. And then our session 3 consists of the online portion where students can gain original credit for high school courses as they are progressing through their academic journeys. So we are offering a total of 91 in-person sites for our summer programs. So I'm going to be sharing information related to these programs here, but you can see that we have 24 Rising Stars and Acceleration Academies that are face-to-face, our 23 extended school year programs for our students with IEPs, 5 face-to-face high school credit recovery, and then there are a variety, 39 specialty and school-funded programs that are going to be taking place face-to-face this summer. So when we look at our specialty programs, many of these are program-related, and they're summer bridge programs for our students to prepare for the next school year. So you'll see our aerospace programs, our IB programs for students, our science and technology, getting them ready for the next school year. We also have exploratory programs for students that are just of interest to them to be able to explore different areas. And these are through a variety of the different academic programs office in the Division of Academics. Here you'll see our school-sponsored summer programs that are offered to students, and these are for the individual schools. They planned these programs for their students based off of their own budgets and/or grant funds that these schools specifically received and that have been allocated to these schools. And so these programs often focus on foundational math and reading skills, while others serve as those bridge programs for students who are coming to middle school for the first time or high school for the first time. There are lots of supports for many of our special populations within our summer school programs. A specific program for our special education students is our extended school year program, where students get support to meet their individualized educational program goals over the summer so they can continue to work towards meeting those goals. Our English learners have access to all of the programs that I've mentioned to you so far, getting additional language support while they are in those programs. And then, of course, for our talented and gifted students, we have the acceleration opportunities for them, as well as those exploratory programs that they may be interested in as well. I'd also like to just add that, each of the programs that we're offering do provide some supports along with a social and emotional learning component as well, that we're obviously focused on academics, but focused on the whole student as well, and how they're doing, how they're feeling, and building a team within the classroom that students are participating in. So I told you a lot about all of our programs, and we also have more resources that are available for our parents and our community members. And so these resources, and you have a handout of them that came with the slides that you have the actual handouts that you can just reference. But each document provides literacy and numeracy activities that either parents, community members, or students themselves can engage in this summer. These are also linked right on our summer school website for everyone to be able to reference. So we know that parents are always looking for, how can I engage my student in some fun but academic activities? Well, we have some examples here by grade level for our parents, and they can look at those literacy and numeracy skills. For our community partners, we know that we work with Parks and Recreation, and many of our students are going to those programs. We have many churches that have our students in their programs. I know that Prince George's County government is sponsoring the Passport program. In any of these community programs, they can use this tip sheet of some of the ways they can engage our students in literacy and numeracy skills as they're engaging in other fun activities. So we started off our presentation looking at how we collect data and all those pieces. And we know that data should inform and tell a story, and we use it for that purpose. And so you can see, even after the summer programs have concluded, we're still working on our summer programs by synthesizing our data and collecting that all together to create a data brief. And so each of the programs that I mentioned, while they're delivering instruction to students and we've done all the planning, while we're in the program, we are collecting data about how our students are performing in each one of these programs to make sure that we are moving the needle for our students, that we are providing the best possible opportunities for our students, not only in the summer, but in the school year as well. It also gives us the opportunity to look up those students that I mentioned that are in the acceleration academies that may have failed last year. How did they do over the summer? Gives the opportunity to follow up with them throughout the school year. So this process is completed August to October, providing us with all the time to gather the data, and we pull all of that together to create our data brief. And so you can, for now, you can see the data brief that we created from last summer's activities that is on our website for anyone to see. And it includes the pre and post data assessment as part of that data collection for us to synthesize and analyze if we met our program goals, if we met our goals for our students. And this analysis includes not only looking at how students performed, but looking at our website analytics. Is anybody actually clicking on these things that we put on the website? And making sure that we have what search terms people were using when they were looking for summer opportunities and they got there. And so we had a lot of success with how we set up our website last summer, and so we built upon that for this summer's program to make sure that everyone has all the information that they need to be able to participate in our programs. So thank you for the opportunity to share about the planning process and the actual programs that we have this summer. We'll be happy to take any clarifying questions you have.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that great presentation. I was really happy to see the continuation and expansion of the acceleration academies and hubs, and I just had a few questions about those. I also just wanted to say I was really ecstatic to see all of the focus on literacy. I know that in our committee we've talked a lot about literacy throughout the year, and I know parents are really going to appreciate those resources. That's so awesome. My first question is around just the, is it a clarifying question? For the Book Nook program, will that also be available in other languages so that students can access that if they're English language learners? I'm not familiar as much with the software.
Sure. Book Nook is they have tutors, and tutors are certified teachers. Mm-hmm. And so students come into no more than a group of 2 to 4 students, and they have individual sessions. They use a platform called Book Nook. Mm-hmm. And really, we got involved with Book Nook when we went into the pandemic and we could no longer really do small guided reading. And this was a company that came to us, allows a teacher to project out a book, take them through the same type of routine and lesson plan that they would do in a small guided reading group. So it works on their fluency, it works on their vocabulary. Students are learning to read. In addition to that, this year Book Nook partnered with a math organization. And so we piloted that during the school year, which allowed us to invest in having pretty much almost 6,000 to 7,000 seats for reading, and then 6,000 to 7,000 seats for mathematics. The students in the platform, they're working directly with a tutor, so it's not in another language. But they're really good about it. They find that students need extra supports. The company itself makes sure that sometimes they even put 2 people there, or 2 tutors, to make sure the students have what they need. And we also follow with any of the vendors that we utilize. It's my expectation that they also do pre and post data, that the same data we collect in our district, I need to know that what they're giving us, that our students are growing, and we want to look at the standards before our students get in, because I don't need students getting a million things. We want to target specific standards so that we can tell whether they grew.
Okay, thank you. And I think my question should have been more targeted to will there be English language supports within Book Nook? And so I think you answered that. So my next question was around tracking student performance throughout the year. So firstly, I wanted to see, would students that participated last year in the acceleration hubs, would they get priority for this year, or will it solely be based on students' grades this academic year? And then is there a way for us to sort of determine because we do have these in-house benchmark assessments, did students that participated in our summer programs last year, did we see an increase in literacy for them through those bookmarks throughout the year? And if that's something that we are tracking?
Yeah, so one of the things Dr. McDaniel mentioned is that we flag students. So every student that becomes a part of our Acceleration Academy, we flag them in the system. What that allows us to do is once we get to the next school year, we're able each quarter to pull those students. So each quarter this year, I had a list run for our school side, our partners in our schools, so we could see in reading and mathematics what course they're currently enrolled in and how they did. And that allowed us to provide that feedback back to schools to say, hey, we still have a student who may be failing. What are the interventions in place? Bringing them back to the supports that we have in our curriculum to support it. So we really did a good job this year of flagging them. For us, while we can look at the benchmark, we know that our benchmarks is our second year in our benchmarks, and so we do look at that at this global perspective, but we really need to be tracking how they're doing every single day in the grades that they're receiving in the content presented to them every single day. So we did that cycle back. We will do it again this year. They don't necessarily get priority because the priority this year is given to students who are failing right now. Now, there is a chance, based on us seeing that data, that they are some of the same students. Right, so in the flag, I can see a student who may have failed last summer, not last summer, but last year participated in the summer, and when we're looking at the grade right now, they are failing. So it's bigger than also what are we doing about this summer, but where are the other supports and wraparound services that we're providing before we ever get to the summer to try to increase what they've been able to give as an output.
Yeah, because I'd even venture to say if they participated last year, then we should see increases, and they shouldn't participate in the upcoming year. And then just lastly, I wanted to ask about personalization through the summer curriculum. So will they be using just like a standard curriculum in the Learning Acceleration Academy, or will they be targeting, let's say, specific units where they're struggling or specific skills that they need support with so that it can be it can be personalized?
Sure. So one of the things when we identify students for the summer, while we mentioned that we look at grades from quarters 1 and quarters 2, we also go back and look at the skills based on our benchmark where our students were not successful. And so those, we have to be really targeted. When we talk about a 4-week program, for our elementary students, we keep them actually all day because we wrap around the social, emotional, and some other pieces to it. But we want to make sure that the standards that we know are the gateways, the bridge standards, the power standards, that's where we're really hitting them so that we can move them along and try to close some of those gaps. So we try to be very intentional. It is our curriculum. We go back and we pull pieces of our curriculum and we build a separate scope and sequence for the summer. We buy different materials, some different supports, different manipulatives that students can take home. So we're very targeted in the budget that Tony mentioned. We make sure that we put materials there so that students have materials there and at home so that we can try to close that gap and include our parents in that dialogue and conversation so they can be supporting us along the way during the summer.
Thank you.
Any board member Mickens Murray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a comprehensive report. I'm extremely pleased. I mean, you guys, you answered all of my questions, and the one question that I have is, are all your seats filled today of the students that you anticipate to teach in person?
So, the thing about summer school, it's like opening a school. So it's a very fluid process. So that's why even Tony mentioned the positions have now even grown. So in order for us to get ready for summer, we're very strategic about how we identify students. So we look at the data, we pull certain pieces. Right now, we've already communicated to our schools, we've already identified the student list. That's why we can only look at quarter 1 and quarter 2, because I have to have information of transportation by a certain date so that we can get students routed. So in looking at that, right now the process we're in, this year our IT department did a phenomenal job and created for us a registration platform. So right now we're in the process of those pieces going out to our families. We're waiting for them to come back and say, yes, they will attend. They have a deadline on the yes and the no. When we get to the no, that they're not, and we have open seats, we're now going to go to the next set of kids. Now know that all of that is predicated on how many teachers, because now we're also in the middle of teachers. I think it closed this week of teachers, or next week, teachers signing up for summer school. So we could say that we want to service 5,000 students in elementary, let's just say, and then we get teachers, we don't have enough to cover. So then we kind of play this dance of looking at both side by side. But for every teacher that we have, we want to continue to fill those seats. The no's come in, we go right to the wait list because we want to fill every single seat. One of the things I shared with the board when we came back is that we have so many resources. Last year, the reason I have so many Book Nook accounts right now is that last summer I offered 14,000 seats, and I only had 6,000 students that registered. And we've tried to put it out in social media. We've sent parent notifications. We've done robocalls. So we've done extensive announcements. So we're going to continue to provide for as many students as we can, but we also need our parents to take us up on the opportunities that we're providing.
Okay, and one other avenue you have is to let the board members know if you have those vacant seats, because they oversee schools. And I help with all schools. So maybe we can help get that word out too, to ensure that that we touch as many students as we can. The other thing that I'm appreciating is the enrichment package. Now that goes out to all students, correct? So the comprehension that you guys, the data, the details that you would put in this. So one of the things that I will accept as my own challenge is to get out to my friends in my community what's available. Because many times what I hear is that, well, we don't know what's available. Our parents are always looking for something in the summer for their students to do. So it looks to me like you guys have a lot for students to do, and it's just a matter of parents knowing where to click. And then finally, technology. I'm the worst technical person in the world. So I'm asking for people like me, do you have assistance with technology available for all of those folks that are trying to do things online? Because that's going to be extremely important, and it needs to be timely.
Yes, so last year we automatically had our parent centers up. So you bring a very valid point to the table, because I need to make sure that that we're doing that. So I'll make note of that, because we did provide, if parents were struggling, if they needed to know and understand how to get on a platform, if they wanted to know how to work it, we did provide a lot of videos that on our site where they could click on, but I will work to see how in the first start up of the program, how we can offer some sessions to parents who may need support. So thank you for that suggestion.
I appreciate that, and
No
thank
problem.
you guys. You guys have done a phenomenal job, I believe, which means we should get another award next year. I'm just saying.
I think so, I agree with that. Board Member, Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you. I agree. This is a very comprehensive report, and I like the fact that you are making summer school look like a different summer school than when I remember when I was growing up. We didn't want to go to summer school because it was for students that needed support, but you're providing support for not only those that need it, but those that want to excel and move ahead, and that is awesome. This just shows that it's all connected. When we had the data report, and we talked about 700 11th graders sitting in 11th grade that have the credits for high school seniors, that is amazing, and it's a result of the summer program. So I thank you for that. And I was looking while I was here as she was doing her presentation. The website is already up. So the website continues to grow with information. And whenever I do my Saturday coffees, I try to show people that anything that you want to know, it's there on the website. And so I like that you have that there. My first question is around the day schedule. What is a day in the life of a summer school student who is in person? What does that look like? What time does it start and what time does it end?
So it's really dependent upon the program that it's in. So for example, our elementary students in person, they are there, I want to say at least 5.5, 6 hours, because we want to make sure that we have social emotional time with them. We build community. We also provide an opportunity in person for them to have, I believe it's either art or physical education. So we even provide that in the summer for them, because our students, we're tired, so they're tired. So we want it to be fun and engaging. We want them to build relationships with their peers in their classroom, but then we want them to be in instruction in a way that's meaningful. So theirs is a very much a longer day. Then we have our high school students, because we want them to ensure that they are caught, especially credit recovery. They are face-to-face because we know that they have to recover. So, people may say, well, why does that have to happen? Well, you got to remember, they sat through a year's worth of instruction, so it's not like they didn't receive instruction. They just didn't make enough to pass the course. So we go back and we really are very strategic about the skills that we provide, and we go and give them a lot. Like, even though they've sat through a year, we give them a lot of content. So that ranges anywhere for each course. They're not allowed to take more than 2, and they're in content for at least an hour to an hour and 15 minutes in that course a day. For our middle school students, it is the same. They will be virtual, but they will be directly live with the teacher, because we've learned from our experiences that with our middle school student, we did a platform with them. We did both, a teacher and a platform, and what we realized is that our middle school students weren't moving through the platform. They did way better when they were just with the teacher. So this year, we'll take that extra time that we had established for the platform, and that time will be pushed to the teacher. They'll be able to work in groups. It'll be fun activities, task-based, problem solving, and really trying to get them engaged with their teacher so that they can move through the content. So it really depends on the programs, our specialty programs, a lot of the exploratory programs. Some of them are half day, some of them are 2 hours. So it really depends on the age group and the program. On our website, you will see at the very top, when you first log in, it'll say course planning, what's it say? Program, yeah, the programs. When you click that button, it will take you to every program we have. It'll have the contact information of who's running that program. It will have a description. It will have the hours. So a parent can look through and you can see all of that information for every single program that we have.
And I thank you for that. That's really important, so that all that information is in one place. And so the other thing on schedule you mentioned was that the seniors would start in May. What does that look like for a senior who is scheduled to graduate? Will they graduate with their class if they complete it in time, or do they just wait until the summer graduation?
So it depends, and it depends on how many credits that senior needed. So if let's just say they only offering 2 classes during that session and the senior only needs 2, the senior finishes the course, we're able to verify that grade, hit the transcript in time for graduation, and to make sure that all the paperwork is in place. Let's say a senior needs 3 courses. They're able to do 2 in May, but then they will become a summer graduate because they will have to pick up the 3rd one in the summer. So it depends on their specific scenario.
Oh, that's such a great opportunity for that student that is just barely making it or missing the mark. They will have an opportunity to graduate with their class and cross the stage with
We
their
want every
class.
senior that can possibly graduate to support them to get through with their class.
That is awesome. The exploratory program, I'll just say for the second round. Thank you.
Board Member Boozer Strother.
Thank you, Chair Miller. First, I just want to make a few compliments, and then I'll ask a couple questions. But I did want to say that the in-school summer programs are built on a solid foundation. I mean, even before the pandemic, parents always let me know the high quality of the summer program. So what the addition of technology has been, I mean, it really is remarkable to Board Member Mickens-Murray's comment about awards. I want to say that things that PGCPS did when we had to during the pandemic, like PGCPS TV, those courses are being watched all over the country. They're being watched by our community partners, and that's when I learned how much our community partners are looking to be curriculum partners, and now you have a full fact sheet for community partners, and I'm presuming that's new. I don't know if you've done that in the past, but I just want to compliment this growth and the expansion into the community, because if I'm not mistaken, was it 40,000 students participated last summer, or the last 2 summers in summer school? I don't think our county would generally think that many students want to be part of summer school. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of that. Getting more into questions, the technology in the Chromebooks, beginning to hear little data points out there that the Chromebooks are beginning, to to break, the numbers of Chromebooks may be diminishing. Will every student have a Chromebook this summer, or will they need to turn them in to be fixed, or what's the status?
Absolutely. Our students will all have their Chromebooks, and Dr. Zuckerman, our Chief of Instructional Technology, ensures that he has a plan in place to replace Chromebooks that are dying. So as our schools are communicating with his office that they are in need, those Chromebooks are delivered to schools, and we are constantly refreshing our devices. So we even in our summer programs have an opportunity. His team is available. If any program has a immediate need, they communicate, and his team responds right away. They even deliver devices when necessary in the summer programs.
Okay, yeah, that's great to hear, because I just know the usage year-round, it's just going to, be tough on the devices. The other question I have is about middle school and Edgenuity and getting students started if they're sixth grade or they're new to PGCPS and maybe haven't used the platform in seventh and eighth. Will they get launched by their current teachers in the platform, or is this all dependent on get at home to get launched into the program?
So the wonderful thing about Edgenuity, MyPath, and in elementary, we talked about Dreambox and iReady, is our students are using them now.
Okay.
And so for any student in our district, they already know how to go in, they already know how to log in. So it's about how do we have documents that support our parents when they're maybe sitting with their child, or they may need to know how to log a younger student in. So that's where we are going to try to make sure that we provide those wraparound services. But any student that's currently with us, only students who are currently with us right now going into the summer would be in MyPad. If you're a new student coming in, you can participate in any of our any of our other things that are on our websites, but you would have had to be here to have an account. Because each year when we purchase our resources, we have to make sure that we purchase by a certain number, we purchase by a certain school, and they've been set up since we started in August of 2021.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. So I guess my last question is advice to parents for reluctant, maybe middle schoolers who think, I get the summer off. Like, where's some of those help to motivate a student that this is actually fun, could be fun and engaging, and to take your summertime to be part of the program?
Yeah, so one of the things, learning is everywhere around us, and that's why you heard Dr. McDaniel say that even for the parent document, we want them to engage in things in their home. Even if you're watching your favorite TV show, and how many of us are watching Netflix and all of the shows that our kids are watching, how do you talk about character development? How do you talk about advance the plot? How do you talk about, oh wow, they went to the store, they purchased different things? Like, how do you continue to keep them engaged in just the world that's around us where they can learn? So that is the reason to help our parents. Sometimes they can't push and motivate their student because they're like, I got to work, so I don't even know how to tell them to get started. By the time I come back home, a student's been sitting there all day because they don't even have a frame or a plan on how to start. So when you go on our website, if you go on middle school or elementary, in June, when we drop it, because it's not, it says, when you click now to say coming soon, what you'll see is a schedule, a template for a parent. So even if it's 20 minutes a day here, 20 minutes a day there, that 20 minutes every single day will allow students to stay grounded. The other thing that we didn't mention, because I said, before we did this presentation, we're constantly thinking, we're doing a Khan Academy drop in the summer for our current 7th graders who will be 8th graders, where we'll have a planning map on there for them as well. Parents need to get them on reading and math. We'll have videos on how to set a schedule. It's an app they can download. You can send a question a day. We need to just get them in the littlest of things. It doesn't have to be anything that's long. So I think for our parents, what I would say is 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, just engaging, reading a book, watching a show and having a conversation, having your child speak back to you in sentences about their day or something they love, what they want to do in life, what's their favorite football team and why. Having those conversations allows students to have a seat at the table because we're teaching them to engage, we're teaching them to have a thought, and we're teaching them to speak out and to share it in a way that's meaningful.
Thank you so much.
Board Member Shayla Adams Stafford, second round.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask about just the number of sites for the acceleration program. How many sites are we increasing to this upcoming year? I think I saw 24, but how many do we have previously? So it's the
24
same-
sites this year.
So it's the same amount of sites?
Yeah, and the reason that is that we have, in our school district, we do a lot of construction. That our summer times are our times to get our facilities ready. We also
Okay.
share our sites with our community partners. And so you want to make sure that they're across the district. We really looked at our community schools, and we looked at what schools feed into our community schools and tried to make them central locations. When you talk about having staff,
Yeah.
and you have to staff a building, the more sites we have, then I have to get another
More
coordinator,
staff.
I have to get more teachers. So we try to put more kids. It also has to do with transportation. Our transportation can't route our entire district. So we try to make sure that if we can have a building that can have an ESY and the Acceleration Academy and the Rising Stars, we do that because it's less stress on the system. But we have everything there. We have a coordinator there who can tell
Yeah.
us immediately when concerns are taking place.
Okay, yeah, I was unclear if the number had changed between last year and this year. I also wanted to just ask, I know when we originally were talking about learning hubs and the need for acceleration last summer, we were really talking about targeting students that are often furthest from opportunity, and I wanted to know what we're doing as a district to engage students that may be in homeless shelters or maybe, experiencing cyclical homelessness. How are we reaching those students during the summer and ensuring that we're pulling them into the fold also?
Absolutely. So under Dr. Coley, we have our homeless office. We partner with them. All of our opportunities are shared directly with them because we know that they're the first line of defense in terms of getting that message to the right families. And so we always have spots available. We leave certain seats open so that when we have a family who may not or may come in or there's a need, that throughout our district, whatever that need is, we try to make sure that we're supportive of that population of students. So it's an ongoing conversation because we want to make sure that they have access.
Yeah, and even if there might be a way to take one of our hubs or supports to the shelter itself to support students there, that might be multi-grades there, but even just to share information with them, I'm not sure if that is something we have done in the past, but just something to
Yeah, they
consider.
make sure they communicate out. They have a communication process that they do they know where all of their students are. We communicate out to them. And again, because in our younger programs, we have the, transportation, we try to make sure that they're supported.
Okay, yeah, and then just the last thing, actually, I'll just talk to you about it after. Thank you.
Board Member Harris.
Yes, sorry. So my colleague actually already asked my question, so I'll take 30 seconds of my 5 minutes from my first round to give kudos. Ms. Brooks, Dr. McDaniel, Dr. White, Dr. Goldson, bravo on this. You guys have taken the data that you have, historical data to help to improve the programs and ultimately push our students forward and continue to drive them. Like my colleague said, these programs don't look anything like summer school when I was in school. And I really think it starts with the mindset in terms of, how our students process these programs that they're going through. And maybe it doesn't always look like sitting in a classroom. Maybe it's math warriors. Maybe it's engaging with the parents at home or the guardians at home. So thank you for recreating what was looked at as a bad thing when I was coming up and present it to our students in a way that really helps them to understand we want you to get to the finish line. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you. My next question is around the exploratory programs. I think it's great to give students an opportunity to be exposed to the career technology education programs. What age groups are you targeting for those programs? Or what grade level, rather?
So again, it depends on the program. So for example, we have a CTE exploratory camp. We offer that at middle school because we know that our students, when they get to 8th grade, are making choices on any of our CTE programs. So we want them in middle school, the summer of middle school, to have experiences just touching many of them. They get a little bit of it all so that they can say, wow, I can think now, where do I want to be when my opportunity comes to apply? So we look at things like that. When we talk about our bridge programs, for some of our programs that we know are heavy, so our science and techs, our IBs, we want students that have an opportunity, like our AHS, to go on campus now, to see what the campus like is now, so that when they get there day one, it's not a shock to this new world that they're going to go into. One of the ones that's not on there because we are we're identifying it in a grant right now is for creative arts. We have identified that our students need the arts, and so we're also going to be doing a summer creative arts across the district in several locations. That'll be from elementary all the way through middle school because we have these wonderful Suitland and Northwestern programs, but we have kids who need to have exposure to even know that they can dream it. Right, and so it's how do you continue in the summer to get better, where you can offer that exploratory, so kids can think about what they want to do. And I think Board Member Montero talked about that. This is a place where you can dream, and it should be a place where we offer just opportunities to get a snippet of it to say, wow, that piqued my interest. So it's something that I want to do. So we want to continue to look at opportunities for grants in areas where we can offer that snippet, that little bite that says, wow, that's pushed me or propelled me to an area that I think I can grow in.
Yeah, I agree. Exposing a child to something they may not have experienced before will open their eyes to more opportunities. So I thank you for that. Now, you talked about grants, and so I want to focus on the cost of this. I know we're not charging our families anything. And so my question is, I believe I remember some of this acceleration or support came through the pandemic funding. What will that look like next summer if the pandemic funding is not available?
Sure. So I think we have a CEO that we all know wants to ensure that our students have the absolute best. So part of the reason that we collect data is that we need to see what's working and what's not. So across any intervention we're doing, across our summer programs, we have to really say, what did we spend money on? What was the value add? Where did our kids end and land? And where do we want to keep and take stake? And that's going to cause all of us to have to go back to our budgets to say, if we know that we still have to be committed to our students, what do we give up in order to make certain things happen? And I think we have a CEO that's going to ensure that we do that.
Thank you for that. And can I just take 30 seconds? Because I didn't share all the things that I loved in the presentation, so I'm going to quickly say that. I love the fact that you changed the perspective of summer school. I love the fact that you're working with the libraries. Math is everywhere. It is everywhere. The TV schedule on demand, that is awesome. And the social emotional learning. Thank you for all of that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Williams. And I'd like to thank you also. This was truly an awesome, outstanding, comprehensive program presentation, and I'm just speechless. I'm just writing, my notes included, well, what can they say and what can they show for us to get this award next year? So let's keep that in mind. And we also have to look at, you brought up a good point in terms, well, Dr. White brought up a good point in terms of budgeting. Those are the kinds of things we need to look at when we start looking at next year. And then with your data, we can determine what will work and what didn't work and what can be excluded and how much funding you would need, and to make sure that we have enough for the program. So again, thank all of you for, I mean, that was just awesome. I can't say any more. Are there any other further, is there any further discussion relative to the academic summer programming?
I will be discussing it at my third Saturday.
I'll be there. Before I move to, again, thank you. Before I move to, let me go to item 5, follow-up items. Colleagues, from the March 10th board work session, information is posted on board docs. So if there's anybody who wants that, the information relative to the work session on March 10th, they can go to board docs. Now we will move to 6.0, motion to confirm actions taken in executive session. Motion and second to confirm actions taken in executive session on April 7 are as follows: to receive a report from the CEO, to discuss approved personnel appointments, to receive a report from internal audit, to discuss resolve an employee appeal, to discuss an ethics panel letter, to discuss other personnel matters, which includes restructuring and restructuring the board office. And that's it. So may I have a motion to confirm the actions taken on April 7th in the executive session?
I move that we confirm the actions taken in executive session on April 7th, 2022.
Second.
It has been moved in second to confirm the actions taken in the April 7th, 2022 executive session. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion?
I'm going to abstain.
Who was that? Oh, okay. Please note that Board Member Thomas abstained. Okay, the motion carries. And before we adjourn, I was so caught up in our celebration, I forgot to present D. Paul Montero Jr. with a certificate of recognition from the board. Yes, like all of you, we work with all of us. Thank you for providing your public service and leadership to the Board of Education for Prince George's County. As a member of the Board of Education, you participated in the development of more inclusive and equitable policies for students, staff, and families. Your advocacy also paved the way for programs and services that will enhance the education, development, collegiate, and career success of our students. We also acknowledge your dedicated leadership of the Academic Achievement Committee 2019 to 2020 and active participation on the Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs Committee. We greatly appreciate your certificate to the people of Prince George's County and dedication to the mission and values of the Prince George's County Public Schools. We hereby present this to you on April 7, 2022. Now, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Who said? Oh, Mr. Harris, you did. Second, is there a second? Second. It's been moved and second to adjourn our April 7, 2022 board work session. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The motion carries. Good night, everyone, and thank you